Welcome to Saulcast. Tonight we are talking about Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 8, titled Point and Shoot. This is our instant take. We just watched the episode. It's the second time we saw it. So these will be our raw...
You have to rub it in.
Exactly. This will be our raw, immediate reactions after seeing the episode. We're going to do our full recap and analysis later in the week over on our podcast channel. Link in the description. With that, I'm Gil, here with my brother...
I'm Daniel.
Adam.
Alon.
I miss when you used to just say, I'm Gil, here with my brother Adam.
Yeah, I know. Something's changed.
I miss you
don't know.
calling me your tech guy.
Let's get into it. So let's not bury the lead. Let's get into the big thing that happened tonight. Gus took his tie off.
First time ever.
Lalo died.
Yes.
Lalo is dead.
R.I.P.
And as many people predicted, Lalo is buried in the lab. As many other people predicted, Howard is buried with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I saw anyone predict that. But I guess let's just start there. Adam, first time you saw the episode tonight, what was your reaction to Lalo's death? The way he died, the fact that he died?
I have a couple different reactions. The execution of it, with no pun intended, was excellent. They pulled it off very well. I loved the seeing the plan and like everything that we kind of were hoping to see. I liked seeing it play out. I kind of wish it wasn't as predictable as it was, but at this point, I don't see a way around that either. I think there were still some fun. We've been doing a lot of podcasting today.
Yeah.
Still some fun, unpredictable elements to it, in the sense that we got to see Lalo kind of play cat and mouse one final time, and I think he did a really good job, and it was very clever. So clever that the only person who was onto him was Gus, which is something we've been seeing time and time again, which that leads me to some of my critiques, which are, it's kind of hard to believe how incompetent Gus's people turned out to be this episode, including Mike. Although I try to give them the benefit of the doubt by saying we see a different Gus and a different Mike by the time they're in Breaking Bad. They're more polished. They're smarter.
Mm-hmm.
One person, Sarah, who I've mentioned before on this podcast, said that it almost felt like watching Home Alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not too far off. And as much as I don't want to make fun of the show because I love it and it was a great episode, she's not totally wrong.
Yeah.
So the episode had its ups and downs, but in terms of just the raw execution, and everything from the music to the effects to the way the corpses looked really corpsey.
Yeah.
I was very impressed, and I think it was a very solid conclusion to the Lalo plot line. And I thought the acting, both from Lalo, from Gus, and especially from Ray Seahorn and Bob Odenkirk, of course, those are all incredible.
Yeah.
And in terms of like my immediate reactions, this is one of the most. This is among like the most I've had to say when you've asked me that after an episode, which I think in and of itself should tell you a lot about this episode. It was very good, and it should provoke a strong reaction from people.
I agree with a lot of what you said. The one
Except for the part about Ray Seahorn.
and Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
In terms of the incompetence, I have to go back and kind of retrace the geography of who knows what when, but Gus has kept a lot of information to himself, which deeply affected the way that Mike and all of his henchmen acted.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Mike has any reason to suspect Lalo knows about the lab. So in his mind, he was never going to be
that
there.
side of things, maybe Gus played too close to his chest. In which case, then I could just kick the can kind of down the road and say, then, okay, it's hard to believe Gus would be that kind of dumb.
To your point, though, Mike may not be in the best standing right now with Gus. Right when he says, tonight could have gone very differently.
Yeah.
And Gus says, yeah, it could have.
Right.
That was kind of, you kind of screwed up here.
Yeah.
Mike.
So I guess, and one thing we've touched on a lot in this season is Gus has a hard time finding people who are Poyos material.
Mm-hmm.
And so his henchmen aren't exactly Poyos material. And he has doubts about whether Mike is as well. So that is a good reason for Gus not to fully divulge everything that's on his mind. Right. Then again, what does he have to lose by sharing his suspicions either?
And it's a little ridiculous that his four henchmen would all have their backs to the entrance. Like he's waiting there
they'd be
for
trained
Lalo.
more.
They're waiting there for
Yeah.
like to ambush Lalo.
Yeah.
And they're just standing there with their
Yeah.
backs.
Yeah,
the
that
entrance.
said,
Yeah.
you like the episode overall?
No, I did really like the
Alright.
episode, but that little
Mhm.
bit was
So
frustrating.
really, none of that stuff bothered me, except for the one moment where they show the security guard is not at his desk
so
watching all the screens.
that was
yeah.
no. Go ahead.
Like you said during the episode, that was a little too cute. Like we almost didn't need that moment of that just stroke of luck where the guy happened to not be watching.
Let me say, what annoys me so much about that, like, yeah, you could just pretend like he got through in a more intelligent way than just walk right in front of the camera and hoping the guy wasn't watching.
Mhm.
But nothing that happened after that would have happened if it weren't for that stupid moment. Right
Exactly.
there.
So they're
And
building
it's kind
up
of frustrating. The rest of it was great,
yeah.
but I just wish they tweaked that one scene a little bit.
It's like if they just got rid of that scene entirely, then all of a sudden you don't have this complicating factor where you can look back on it and say, wow, so much depended on luck. So much depended.
right.
If that guy didn't drink that coffee earlier
Yeah.
in the night and have to go relieve himself.
And you kind of alluded to this, but that's the kind of scene where you could literally completely don't even show how he got in the lab.
Well, and that was Daniel's suggestion.
Exactly. And we can fill in the blanks. Like, we actually have seen enough of Lalo that we could assume, okay, he probably saw where the camera was and went around it or something,
Right.
you know.
Right,
I
we
mean,
filled in the blanks.
I'd rather see a scene that made more sense, but I would also rather have seen nothing than that.
And like it makes sense, but again, it's like too cute. Like just don't show us something that feels so like that just didn't feel intelligent
Mhm.
in a way that the show normally does. It felt like it came. Now I could be wrong, and everyone makes mistakes, but it felt like something that came from like kind of a more inexperienced or immature sort of writer.
Mhm.
Like I'm used to the show feeling a lot like they give us a lot more credit than that, and for something to rely on kind of a plot contrivance or like a coincidence or just sheer luck kind of bugs me.
Yeah, so I don't want to focus too
Yeah.
much on the one moment because
Right.
I really do think it's amounts to a nitpick.
Yeah.
It was, and when I was texting with people about it, I literally called it a nitpick.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
So I'm with you on that.
So let me talk about my reaction to it, which is I would say the episode was super intense.
Yeah.
When Kim gets sent to Gus's house, she is the one, right? She's the one right now where you don't know what her fate is going to be. At this point, they're clearing the deck. Nacho's gone. Howard's gone. If you're not in Breaking Bad, like now's the time to get worried. Actually, I was thinking that when Gus goes, "You can't kill me."
Yeah.
The unspoken part is because I'm in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
By the time it seemed that Kim and Jimmy were kind of out of the crosshairs, like they were safe, a lot of the intensity went away from me. And instead, it started to almost feel claustrophobic, where we were in this dark place, this dark, uncomfortable place with just Lalo and Gus underground. But there was a deep sense of inevitability. Like at that point, I knew Lalo was not going to walk out of there alive.
Yeah.
I figured, how else can this go? We know the gun is there. You're not going to have a shootout that leaves with Lalo limping off, and then we have to kill him sometime in the next 5 episodes. So in a sense, the death felt a tad underwhelming because you knew it was coming. I think in my head, I kind of built up. We need a super memorable face-off style.
I remember
death.
you wanted Lalo to get electrocuted.
Honestly,
Wires, right?
Lalo deserved, like, I'm happy with what happened still,
Yeah.
but like you said, it was a little underwhelming because it was so predictable. Lalo deserved something
Like
unexpected,
a more
glorious,
ceremonious.
that we would remember forever. Like this is kind of like a blip the way he went because
At least he got to do that like one last laugh.
Yeah, that I love that. That was awesome. It felt like exactly what he would do. Like, oh, this is pretty funny. How I can't believe I fell for that crap. Like,
Right.
that's probably what I was thinking. But like, he's like literally one of my favorite characters of all time, not just Better Call Saul.
Mhm.
And I want to see more of him, but I mean, probably not happening.
Right. And by the way, I see a few people in the chat indicating why the person wasn't at his desk. He had to use the bathroom. They were changing shifts. Like, we understand that.
When you
but
change the shift,
it was a coincidence that allowed everything else in the episode to happen. That's why it was a little bit of a
Right.
nitpick.
So they make it seem like, none of this had to happen the way it went down. It was just because of this one coincidence. Right. Fair. And life does often work like that. But you're also writing a show, which means you can be deliberate. So my question to the writers is, what do we gain by you doing that?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
Lalo knew that's when he goes to the
He,
bathroom.
he
All
bought
right.
the guy a coffee earlier on purpose. That's how smart he
So
is.
everybody in the chat is just blaming Lyle, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, and they're also predicting that Lyle becomes the cab driver.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think sometimes things happen in a predictable way. If
Yes.
everything's unpredictable, then it's just at a certain point you're like, well, then you'd be complaining that it's
It's like a
Nothing-
stream of nonsense.
yeah, it's just like a dream.
You don't
rubbing
just
off
watch
on
a
it.
You know,
show for the
saying-
twists.
Yeah, so they could have chosen to subvert our expectations and do something weird and disappointing. Instead, they did something that was, even if it was predictable, it was predictable because it was logical.
Mhm.
And in the end, I'd rather a show follow reality and follow logic,
Right.
rather than come up with something out of the blue that makes even, that really doesn't make sense. So
Right.
I don't think it's as much a complaint. It's not a complaint
Yeah.
to say that it had some element of predictability.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing that it had that, and I feel it.
Right.
But they still executed it really well, and like overall, it was one of the best episodes of the series.
Especially the first few scenes. I think those
Yeah.
were like some of the best scenes ever. Those were really cool.
Yeah, 100% agreed. We'll talk about the
You know,
beach scene too.
We saw Bob. We saw Saul and Kim at their most genuine. We saw them hugging and relieved to be alive at the end. Like.
Mhm.
So much else happened in the episode that's almost one of the most minor things that happened. But in any other episode, that it would have been a big deal to see that much emotion from the two of them.
Right. Agreed with all that. And I do see some people. I'm going to drop this topic in a second, just because I'm thinking about people listening back to this later and be like, enough
Enough
of the security guard."
about the security guard taking a whiz.
So some people are pointing out that he went to open the gate and then came back to his desk. So maybe if we rewatch it, we'll see that Lalo had reason to know the person wouldn't be at his desk, and was
Like
able to kind of-
he gave some kind of distraction.
yeah,
or-
Okay,
possibly.
all right.
We did see it twice, Gil. So
Yeah, I
So,
know.
so let's end it
Yeah.
on there is a logical explanation. We might never hear it, but there was one.
So we'll leave it there.
I have one. No, I'm just kidding.
But like I think we all had a similar sense of his death is underwhelming in one sense because we love this character. You want there to be a surprising twist. P pointed out in the chat that we saw Gus put the gun there. We saw him count his steps.
Mhm.
So if you were to take that to its logical conclusion, this is it. It makes sense. But to me, the what gets me excited about this moment is not the moment itself, but kind of everything surrounding it.
Yeah.
It's the danger that Kim was in when she was sent by Lalo.
Right. 'Cause she's an entity that we don't know what's going to happen to her.
Exactly. And it's the fact that this closes the book on the other major conflict of this season. The two big ticking time bombs were what's going to happen with Howard, what's going to happen with Lalo. And those two things have now resolved themselves.
Mhm.
There's 5 episodes to go, and I feel like we're in the bridge now. This is now the bridge that takes you through through Breaking Bad. It takes you to Gene, and it takes you to the conclusion of these characters. So
Like when you're driving, you're coming toward a bridge, and there's like a sign that's like last exit before bridge, like vehicles over a certain weight, you have to get off here.
Mhm.
We just crossed that line.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And there was one
And Daniel,
line.
you're gonna have to get off.
There was one moment where, after all this, when Mike gets back to Kim and Jimmy, I almost combined their names. I was going to say when Mike gets back to Jesse, he tells them, "Here's what you're going to do. You need to go into work today, pretend everything is normal, essentially put on a happy face." And it felt like Jimmy's going to have to do that today and never stop doing it.
Yeah, for the rest of his
Like
life.
you know that promo image that they used, the one I used in the What Makes
Yeah,
Focus
the
Great?
mask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a black and white, very sad Jimmy with a cardboard cutout mask of Saul Goodman smiling.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mike basically laid out that visual verbally. And he essentially gave us the TLDR of Saul Goodman. It's a mask that Jimmy's going to be wearing.
Mhm.
I think he's going to start today in some sense.
It was that moment that he truly became Saul Goodman.
Yeah, I was completely setting you up
Yeah.
for that.
No, I think that's a very good point, and that's one thing that's why I think in the end this show is about Saul Goodman. It's not about Lalo, right?
Mhm.
What happens to Lalo ultimately there could never have been too much suspense about it because we knew Gus was going to survive.
Mhm.
And there was no world in which one lived while the other did as well. It was like
Right.
the prophecy in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So either Lalo gets killed or Gus manages to like trap Lalo in some other secret room and torture him for the rest of his life, like the Coati or something.
Coati? You mean
Coyote?
coyote?
Boo!
Just like
Yeah. So the real suspense, not real suspense, the real focus of the show is Saul and how he becomes who he is. And this episode was really pivotal to that. And the whole scheme with Howard and what came of it. Like it's not just that Saul needs to put on this face to protect his innocence in all of this, but it was someone that on some level Howard was a friend of Jimmy McGill's.
Yeah.
The fact that he played along with the boxing fight, that they've known each other for so long, even if like viscerally he hated him, he hated Howard. He was an important part of his life, and so yeah, for many reasons, Saul Goodman is going to be this mask he has to wear forever now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. I think, one thing that people say a lot, I think I've even said this, I've turned around on it, but you say Saul Goodman is so happy-go-lucky in Breaking Bad. There's no way that Kim's going to die or else he wouldn't be that person. But we've seen that people wear masks. We saw Howard do that very explicitly. He'll have a big smile on his face and then turn around and it turns into a frown.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to see is that Saul Goodman is a mask to some extent. And so, yeah, basically I wouldn't read too much into his persona in Breaking Bad to try and predict what's going to happen.
I have two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, I found it very, very jarring to see Gus in such a vulnerable position, being kind of bossed around, made fun of on camera, treated like I was kind of big, worse than being bullied. I mean, he was about to be murdered, but like made fun of on camera and just pushed around, especially when Lalo kicked him down the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Is very just like it feels weird,
right?
And I thought they managed that really well, and I think they knew they were going to kind of strike some kind of deep subconscious nerve with us because Gus is. We were so used to, in Breaking Bad to seeing him as this like unstoppable machine,
right?
Yeah. So that's number one, and I'll let you guys respond, and then I have another thing.
Okay. You have something to say?
Yeah, no, it's just with Gus. I don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we ever really see him in physical confrontations very like
not
almost
often,
ever
not
because
really,
he tries to use his brain
Mhm.
to circumvent any issues. So this is a situation where he needs to get physical. And I mean, like, let's be honest, if it was like a fist fight between the two of them, it doesn't seem like Gus has a chance. All he can do is try to outsmart.
Right.
That's what he did. But yeah, I don't know.
This feels like the last time we'll see Gus. Like, I feel like part of him is saying, I am not going to be in this position again.
Mhm.
Like, we've seen a lot of, like, what you just described. We've had little bits and pieces of that the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
We've seen Gus more vulnerable than ever. And so I think this
Or even
is,
just seeing Gus being like, oh,
Yeah.
like after getting shot in the Kevlar a bunch of times.
Yeah, like I had the same thought actually earlier. I feel like this specific event is probably a game-changing moment for him. Like he probably just gained a huge ego boost and confidence boost. Like
I gained a lot of XP with this one.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can deal with any issue. Like I'm
Right,
smarter than everybody. I just need to plan ahead and attack at the right moment. Even if they think they have the upper hand.
Well, and in Breaking Bad, when Gus gives his advice to Walter White, which is never make the same mistake twice, we've seen Gus make a lot of mistakes,
right?
And I'm sure he's learning from them, right?
Yeah, 100%. There were I saw someone in the chat asking, you said you had a second point,
yeah,
right?
So less of a point, more of a question, and
Mhm.
and I haven't had a chance to think through it yet much, so the answer might be obvious, but. Lalo has been playing 4D underwater backgammon, right? But, and so sounds like he intended for Saul to be like, no, let Kim go and I'll stay in her place instead, right?
I didn't read it that way.
You don't think that was part of his plan somehow?
No, I think
because Gus was like, no one convinces Lalo of anything. He let her do it instead for some reason.
No, he didn't say that. He was just surprised that Jimmy was able to talk him into something. he talked him into it.
Yeah, but okay, so I interpreted that to be no, like Lalo doesn't get talked into things.
Yeah, I
Well,
interpret it.
So I saw somebody
similar.
in the chat had a theory that was a cue to Gus that meant that Lalo didn't care who went. It wasn't that he
Yes,
orchestrated
okay,
it,
you're right.
but he didn't care who
Yeah,
went.
yeah, you're totally
That
right.
was my
Whoever
read on
said
it.
that in the chat.
Nice job,
Kudos.
whoever that was.
Wish you gave me a chance to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Lalo, he just needed the distraction.
Okay.
Right? So ignore
yeah. So it
laundromat.
really didn't matter. Right. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, that line, I was going to mention there were a few points in the episode where when we watched it in the theater. So for anyone who missed that, there was a Tribeca premiere of the episode a few weeks ago. Daniel and I went. We watched it with the crowd, and there were a few laugh out loud moments. That was one of them. Just a look of surprise on Gus's face
Yeah.
that someone talked Lalo into something. And it's such a classic Jimmy thing to do. So the theater
Sure.
just
I mean, if
broke
anyone
into
could
laughter.
talk him into something, it would be Jimmy.
And
but-
I'll say though, I don't buy the theory I just described before though, because I think Gus already knew it was like a decoy, right? Because he knows Lalo is smart enough to know that just knocking on the door
Yeah.
and shooting isn't going to work.
Yes, I think you're probably right.
So I think it was more
but
what
it
you were
definitely
describing.
validates his theory when he hears that Lalo was indifferent
Yeah.
to or allowed himself to be convinced one way or the other, because in the end it didn't matter.
Agreed. There's something we have to talk about because it's come up every episode like
Lyle.
of Saulcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No, who's Lyle?
Just
Just kidding. This has come up in so many episodes of Saulcast, maybe every episode, and this could be one of the last times we mention it. You know,
Fish?
Oh no,
Oh,
not
no.
the fish. It wasn't me. It was Ignacio.
Ignacio.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of settled now.
It was not a call back. It was a call forward
Yeah.
to what Jimmy says in Breaking Bad. So we get it now. We know why Jimmy, when Walter and Jesse drag Jimmy out into the desert, he thinks he's being kidnapped. He believes that Lalo sent these goons,
Right.
and he defends himself, saying it wasn't me, it was Ignacio.
Right.
So there might be a little bit of confusion over that. Lalo's dead. Mike essentially told Jimmy that Lalo's dead.
Right.
Why would he still be afraid that Lalo's going to send people after him? What do
Well,
you
I mean,
think?
their family lives on and wants to seek revenge, especially the Salamancas. So Saul Goodman is alive and knows that the Salamanca family lives on. And if Lalo believed Saul might have sent anything or helped get these assassins over to come help Nacho and come go after Lalo, then he has reason to believe the Salamanca family still has a bone to pick with him.
So I have a different answer, and it's the one that Peter Gould gave.
Well, can I have another guess?
Okay.
In the heat of the moment, he just blurted it out because the fear took over, and so even though he knows Lalo is dead, it's still just kind of
Yeah, I
the
think
primitive reaction was there.
It's that, but I wouldn't say he knows Lalo is dead. I think
He doesn't totally believe it either, because Mike was wrong about it once. So yeah, I need to get it on my own.
Yeah.
Mike was wrong about it, and actually, as this was happening, when Mike always has to intimate things.
Yeah,
He can't.
exactly.
I like Mike, but this is one problem with him.
Yeah.
He couldn't tell Werner, if you disobey these orders, you will be killed.
Wait, Adam, how hard is it to understand you work for a very serious man?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
it.
Exactly. That was the extent of the threats we saw on camera. Number one. Number two, in this case, like, he's just like, it's over.
Yeah,
you
not
know, or
like-
something.
Like, listen, Jimmy, like we saw the
Like,
body. Like he's buried.
He's at least buried under concrete,
Yeah.
and we're pretty sure he's dead.
Right.
He could just say that. Just say he's dead.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, Mike was wrong once before. He didn't state that Lalo is dead in the strongest of terms this time.
Mhm.
So of course Saul is gonna never
Yeah,
know
well-
for sure and be looking over
Well,
his
you never
shoulder.
know. He's like, he's not coming back. How do you know he's not just maybe they kidnapped
he's on
him. They-
vacation.
They have him locked in a basement. He can escape that.
Well, to put a bow on it, I think there's a couple comments in the chat
Yeah,
which hit
That's
the
a
nail on
good
the
point.
head.
And,
Yeah, Mark. Saul just saw a ghost murder Howard. He would never believe Lalo is dead without seeing a body. 100% agree with that. And Big Ralph says Jimmy has been told Lalo is dead twice.
Yes.
Why would he believe anything at this point? So there you go. And Big Ralph, by the way, I actually remember him stopping by one of the roundtable discussions I did with Pete. and Big Ralph called the before I noticed Gus counting the steps and everything.
Oh, nice.
I remember he did a super chat and he was like, Gus wanted to count the steps so he could turn the lights off, grab the gun, and shoot Lalo. So Ralph, you were right about that. He's been waiting for that. I need Gil to need to be acknowledged for this. So yes, I think that basically explains that. I mentioned there were a few laugh out loud moments. Things that just sent the entire audience into uproarious laughter. One of them was
like when they dumped Howard's corpse, like lifeless corpse, into the grave.
Funny.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that was a great part.
I lost
it. Gus, I already mentioned the one where Gus gets the look on his face and he's like, he convinced him. The other one was when Lalo was saying he wants to send Jimmy, and Jimmy interrupts him and says, send her.
Oh, it's like I don't want to do it.
Like we all know what he meant.
Yeah. But it kind of fits his personality. If it were anyone but Kim.
Yeah, he's trying to worm his way out of it.
Yeah.
When we saw this the first time, I actually really did think that's what was happening at first. It took me like a little while to realize, like, oh, okay, I guess this is potentially helping Kim.
Right.
You don't want to have a type of personality where someone could believe that was your like motivation for saying something like that.
Bob Odenkirk afterward even said, like, he brought it up a few times where he's like, he's doing this big sacrifice. Like, he has to stay in the room with Lalo while she gets to leave, and you're all laughing at him and calling him a jerk.
Those zip ties looked very uncomfortable.
They did a great job with that, where you see Jimmy's like wince.
Like the shirt or whatever it was on his mouth looked even more uncomfortable.
It was
especially because you have so much. You're so congested all the time.
Yeah,
that really, you would have just died.
I would die. I could barely breathe through my nose.
To this, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was satisfying to see Lalo apply restraints like very effectively.
Well,
exactly. I feel like in these shows or movies, like they so often do it like half-heartedly. And they'll escape.
So to your point, when Saul was like bouncing around in the chair and trying to get out, I was kind of yelling at the TV. I was like, if Saul,
it wasn't me, it was Ignacio.
If Saul is able to escape from this, I'll be pretty disappointed in the writing. Thankfully that didn't happen. It just felt like if there's anything Lalo has to be good at, it's restraining someone.
I also feel like Saul probably gave up trying to like break the chair sooner than he should have.
He's not made of the sternest stuff, right?
That's right. I think once he was on the ground staring into Howard's dead eyes,
he's like,
I took all the fight out of him. He just cracked up laughing.
Yeah.
That's what a guy incognito says. Gordon Smith mentioned being surprised. That's the writer of the episode. Mentioned being surprised at some people's reactions to a thing. That's got to be the Howard burial part. He was not expecting the just wave of laughter.
Oh yeah, of course.
he did actually say the laughs at the he was convinced part he wasn't expecting.
I didn't find it funny at the time, but I can see it in retrospect.
Yeah, it landed for me definitely. I read it the same. Like I read it that way. The other one where people laughed was when Mike asks Kim, "What were you sent here to do?" The camera slowly pans out. She points at some other guys. I was sent here to shoot him.
Oh yeah.
Wait, did he say he didn't
that was
expect
hilarious.
to laugh at that, or they just didn't talk about that?
I don't remember.
Okay, I feel like that was definitely meant to be funny.
That had to be. I mean, that was hilarious.
I love that they can still squeeze some humor into such a tense, violent, kind of horrific episode. Like there were parts of this episode, like when they're kind of panning over to Gus's house, and like the music turns really ominous and dark, and like the way the trees are kind of shaking overhead and the shadow is hanging over the house really felt like a horror movie, and we all kind of felt that.
And when the peephole goes dark because there's
there's someone there, and it's like, wow, they're dead.
Yeah,
Kim was definitely going to do it.
And then when they grabbed her and she's just screaming like, "What are you doing? I have a gun! I have a gun!" She was. That's what she was yelling, right? I feel like she was telling them that she has a gun, and she's like, "Why are you guys like?"
I missed that part.
Maybe I misheard it. We'll check. But it just whenever she was screaming, it was like it sounded very intense. It was cool.
I got to pull up a couple of super chats here. Big Ralph says he can die in peace now because I've acknowledged. Right?
So you don't want to die like Lalo or Howard then? If you want to die in peace.
They at least got some shout outs from Gil.
Actually, Howard's was pretty quick, so
that's true. He didn't even he barely got a second to process what was happening.
Yeah.
It was one of the more humane deaths on this show.
But keep in mind, Lalo did get a chance to process it, and he ended up smiling. So
True.
So Howard, maybe he would have
I have a
Been
lot of
content
thoughts.
at the end.
I have a lot of thoughts on what that means. That I think they're more for the full take of the
Yeah.
show, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
just a
Lalo-
little teaser for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my quick. I think
Your
Lalo-
instant take.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
gave it earlier, but I'm just gonna say it again. I think Lalo just found humor in the situation. Like, I can't believe I fell for this.
Yeah.
And
I agree with,
all,
with that.
when you're
part of it.
facing death, all you can do is laugh.
A similar smile that I
can
think
say,
Nacho,
not today, mother.
a similar smile Nacho had, which it feels like ages ago.
Yeah.
But after his call
Yeah.
with his father, he had a kind of smile, which to me
he was
felt
like,
like,
at peace.
how the heck did I get you? This is insane. And thank you, Big Ralph. Really appreciate the super chat. Yash Kapoor. We got our main character on the floor sideways, staring at a dead body of their friend/family. Let's go.
This feels like blood money right now.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
he just gave us a super chat.
first off, thank you for the super chat.
I'll take any kind. Blood, any bodily fluid before
Oh my
the word
God.
money comes
what?
after.
Oh God.
I should.
Saliva money.
Yeah.
I will say that.
What?
Well, you said it already earlier, but they did a great job with the corpses.
Oh, they look.
it was disturbing.
I've seen corpses in educational contexts, among others.
You showed us one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
It's all above board,
yeah,
mostly.
That was
Yes.
allowed, right?
yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was.
All right.
One day we'll tell people why I have these experiences. If they haven't put it together by now, but the corpses were very realistic, and almost hyper real. Something we talk about with the show is like almost hyper realism, where it's like real life but amplified.
Right.
Like the ragdoll nature of
Physics.
the ragdoll physics of those corpses was like disturbing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like the grayness and like they nailed it with those. And to see these are two characters you've been familiar with for a long time now. Howard since day one.
With Howard, one of the creepiest parts to me was like the jaw. It was just like, I
Yeah.
don't know, it just
Yeah.
looked like really real and just kind of creepy.
Mhm. And I would say also, going back to what I said earlier, the fact that this felt like such a closing of the book for this chapter,
Mhm.
having those two characters that, like I said earlier, it was all about Howard and Lalo. Those were the two big things. And now they're buried, cemented under the surface, just as they are going to be in Jimmy's soul. Right
Sure.
there with Chuck. So
Yeah,
where
he's
does he go
gonna
from
miss
here?
Lalo a lot.
Yeah.
They accelerated the pace of this show a lot
Mhm.
this last season, and I think they've managed to do it really well. It's not an easy task.
No, not at all. I'm going to start going through some of the super chats here.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I'll just ask any other thoughts you had, anything else you wanted to say as part of the instant take before we go to the chat.
Well, I don't feel like we really acknowledged the beach scene yet.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I remember, like at the way beginning, as soon as it clicked what we were seeing, like I think like after we saw like the second show, I was like, okay, and like
Really?
I like could feel
You
myself
needed
that-
to see two shoes for that.
I don't know, whatever.
No, I'm just
when,
kidding. I'm
that's
just
when
teasing.
it was solidified.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, that's what I'm saying. But no, like I actually like started like feeling like angry. Like I'm like, how
Yeah.
could they do this to my boy?
Yeah.
They massacred my boy.
Yeah, they massacred my boy.
Yeah,
broke my
I-
boy.
He didn't deserve it. Like I legit
Yeah.
like felt bad. Like again.
I agree.
It does the great thing that Better Call Saul so often does. It's a silent scene that hits you emotionally. It's heartbreaking. It feels
Mhm.
so unjust. It's an epilogue to what we saw previously, and it gives you some plot information because it tells you right off the bat they faked a suicide,
Right.
and that was the cover story.
Remember in Breaking Bad when the camera so slowly at the end of the season so slowly pans over to the lily of the valley,
Mhm.
and at first you don't even really know what you're seeing, the flowers among all these other potential subjects, and eventually it lands on it, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this wasn't exactly that same thing, but it shows the same talent that they have.
Yeah.
Of just showing you something that can say so much with so little.
Yeah, 100%. And they've just continued doing that years later with Better Call Saul. So
Yeah.
let's go. Oh, go ahead.
One other thing, and we can talk about it more on the podcast, but I just thought another really interesting thing that came out of this episode was the fact that we learned that Kim was ready to murder somebody.
Yeah,
like-
yeah, that's an important thing to learn about her character.
Yeah.
I think when push comes to shove, like she will do whatever needs to be done.
Well, it seems like at the end of the day, she really does care about Saul. She
Yeah.
could have run away.
That's true.
Yeah.
And in fact, I got the impression that he kind of was ready for her to do that.
Mhm.
Like, let me die. Like, if I have to, let me die if it means you can save your own skin here.
Yeah, I think that's 100% where
Yeah.
his mind was at.
And so, yeah, he does not want Kim to be a murderer. But that is,
But she would rather do that than than like kind of lose him.
Right. So that puts to bed the theory that Kim's going to take the Sandpiper money and run, probably. That's a theory
I would
that's been
think
around
so.
for a while.
Yeah.
I do see a few people wondering, why would anyone laugh at Howard's corpse in a burial?
Oh,
We have a very dry sense of humor
Yes.
that throughout our lives has gotten us in trouble.
And believe it or not, we've actually toned it down.
To be clear, I'm not saying that we have such a dry sense of humor that we laughed at the burial. What I'm saying is it's confusing. We did not laugh at the burial. As far as I know, nobody laughed.
I
The
just
joke-
pretended to be like that messed up
Right.
inside.
The joke is that it's absurd to say somebody would laugh at that.
Right.
Now we're about to get 10 chats that are like, what are you talking about? I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And jokes are the best when you explain them.
That's true.
All right, let's go to the super chats. $5 from Cheesy Jam Productions. First off, thank you so much. When Howard's body was lowered into the grave, the song that played was a motif of Chuck's theme.
Interesting.
I definitely heard a very melancholy theme that stood out. I didn't pick up on that connection. It would make sense, though, because it's another casualty of Jimmy's antics.
Alon, are you Googling what motif means?
No, I'm Googling Cheesy Jam Productions
Oh.
to see if he is a musician. I was going to say if he is, everyone should go subscribe. But
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
Thank you, Cheesy Jam Productions. You're an amazing person.
And overall, just the music in this episode was really, really good. There were so many different scenes where I said, this music is awesome.
There was almost like a techno sound when Mike walked through Gus's underground
That was
tunnel.
especially the part that got me. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you kind of sit up in your chair. You were
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah,
I was like,
Mike. Like, Adam, sit down. We have to focus here.
That that whole underground thing they carved out would make a really good club, actually.
That's true.
That would be pretty cool. Imagine you go down these steps.
That's true,
and,
yeah.
like,
Not a lot of
just-
space, so it'd be a very small club, but would be cool.
Not a lot of space. The
Well,
lab?
you can have a club with like 150 people in it.
Yeah, it's
you know?
still like that's a decent size.
Yeah, Elizabeth
you're
Holden,
thinking
you-
of two different things
you-
right now.
All right.
I'm sure.
$4.99
Maybe,
from
now you know I'm.
We'll hash it out on the full take later in the week. Elizabeth Holden, thank you for the $4.99. The beginning of the episode is like Don Draper's pitch for the hotel in Hawaii on Mad Men, the man walking into the sea to kill himself. I only vaguely remember that, so I wish I had more to say about this. But there you go for you Mad Men fans.
It's a good show.
It was a great show. Yeah. Michael Keith, thank you for the $5. Wallow let Gus talk too long. Should have smoked him like the white supremacists and Hank.
I felt the same way about that. I don't know. Lalo has such a personal vendetta against Gus at this point that it was believable that he would let him talk that long. But it's still, I am a little tired of seeing that be the reason someone's plan goes awry. Like you have the person there right in front of you, and you just, first of all, you're like milking the whole thing. You're filming this video, etc. And then you give him a chance to talk, and he goes, "Like, are you done?" And he goes, "No." And he has more to say.
Well,
and it's like,
let me.
you're gonna shoot.
Let
right?
me defend him a little
like
bit.
our father always said.
Yeah, that was the advice he gave.
Well, I
us.
think we have seen.
He didn't teach me how to shave, but he does that.
I think we have seen a pattern of Lalo where he is like uber confident in every situation he's in. Like the German dude, I forget his name.
Werner.
No, the other one.
The one he cut his leg off.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's
poor
just
guy.
Casper.
like he knows he ran into this like cabin or whatever, and Lalo just front door, doesn't like try to like sneak in. Like he just barges into places, doesn't try to like. I mean, sometimes he sneaks around, but other times he doesn't care. He just walks confidently right in.
But as a counterpoint, like I had a pretty messed up thought during the Lalo Gus scene where I was like,
Shocked.
Lalo's sadistic and practical. I was like, man, Gus's plan would really be screwed up if Lalo just decided to like chop off Gus's arms right now,
Yeah.
just to like guarantee his plan doesn't go awry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty silly of
Yeah.
Lalo to he's in Gus's home court here.
Yeah.
He has no clue
Yeah.
what's waiting for
Or
him.
I mean, he's in the belly of the beast. Why wouldn't Gus have either a gun stashed away or at least like a panic
question.
button? Similarly, maybe he should have forced Gus to take off that bulletproof vest. Or
Right.
it's also, I mean, not to get weird, but it's like not uncommon to make someone strip down, before
Yeah.
you're about to kill them. Like,
Right.
That was other advice our dad gave us.
yeah.
If
Even
someone
if you're not going to kill them.
if you're worried someone will hurt you, strip down.
Yeah, we mix that up. Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that stuff is in the mix. Overconfidence.
Yeah.
He saw Gus as the money man. He saw him
the
as a
chicken
chess
man,
player.
yeah.
That once you have a gun to him, he's lost the chess match. Now
Right.
it's a brawl, and he has the upper hand.
Yeah, and I'll say I'm kind of criticizing some of these points, but they feel pretty. Even to me, they feel pretty minor. But if you're gonna bring it up, I do have like that is what I think about it. But
Yeah.
it doesn't ruin at all. It doesn't even come close to ruining it.
Yeah,
for me.
these are our raw, immediate reactions
Yeah.
to the episode.
Yeah,
We
we'll
haven't-
we'll apologize.
I'm gonna
in,
double down.
full take.
Yeah.
We'll censor our reactions later.
Thank you, Piano Orlando, for the $6.08. They buried Howard and Lalo, but what about the other 4 bodies that Lalo shot?
Good question.
Maybe they buried them, and they're like, "Damn it, it wasn't big enough of a hole."
Yeah.
So I had to dig another one.
So So you were just getting the tail end of that hole for the last 2.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
There's
Yeah.
probably like 4 other cars at 4 different beaches.
Yeah, could
They all committed these suicides on the
and
same
every single time
They mixed up the wallets by accident.
every single body might get to go. Wait a minute, grabs the
Yeah,
wallet.
yeah.
Grabs the ring. Wait a minute, grabs the wallet, grabs
Yeah.
the ring.
Plays a different song for each one.
Yeah,
It's a good question.
we can keep spitballing
One
on
we
it.
might never have the answer to.
Yeah, wait for the full take. $2 from Michael Keith. This one's for Lyle.
Pour one out.
Hey, I will
This
say-
has been everyone's been like, yo, Lyle chat, all the like there's a lot of Lyle
a
action
lot
going
of
on.
Lyle talk. Yeah, people love Lyle.
I do like Lyle. He's like a good kid.
Yeah, he was the perfect alibi for
He
Gus
should be.
when they were
I
doing
would
the
love him as
drops.
the Saulcast intern.
He would be great. But
Yeah.
also, you missed a great piece of humor I just said
Sorry.
right there. We're talking about how great Lyle is, and I said, he was a great alibi for Gus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lyle's great. There was the great scene where he was humming the, well, I guess Los Pollos Hermanos promo
that was
song.
hilarious.
Pollos Hermanos, Pollos
Pollos
Hermanos.
Hermanos.
There was another line after that.
Something.
But yeah, it was good to see him again. I mean, a lot of characters we keep seeing like one more glimpse of the film crew. This may be the last we see of Lyle.
I think that was Lyle's last hurrah.
We
see him gaining more autonomy in his job. I wouldn't surprise if he gets all the way up to like a corporate level one day.
Maybe he
Could be.
takes over after Gus.
He's in Gus's. Gus left everything to Lyle in the
Yeah.
will.
Dedicado al Lyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next spinoff. Could be the last we see of Lyle. So
I think it
there
is.
you go.
Yeah.
No, it does make me wonder, not Lyle specifically, but we didn't watch The Next Time On. We never do that. But do you get the feeling there could be a time skip in our near future?
I think
I guess like
It
inevitably we
depends.
have to go forward, but I almost wouldn't be surprised if next episode we start moving.
It starts with a
Pretty fast.
montage.
Could be a montage.
I hope so because their montages are the best montages that I've ever seen.
Mhm.
There's
After
a lot
Rocky.
of it depends what your goal is from the montage. If you want to be like intellectually
Motivation.
stimulated and be like curious about how meth is made, that's
Mhm.
one. If you want to be motivated, you got Rocky, or you got the meth one still. So there's a lot of ways this can go. We might never have a time skip. Like for all we know with Gene, there's just another Gene sequence the way we've always had them, and it's one that manages to conclude the story. To your point, that you've been making this point kind of for the last couple of years now. There's no guarantee that we just have a time jump where suddenly we have full episodes that take place in the Gene timeline, which means we could just, we could catch up I don't know, how far are we from the Breaking Bad time?
4 years.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Well, here's the thing. These writers have let too many things slip. So for anyone who doesn't know,
you're afraid there's gonna be spoilers.
no, there
Oh.
already is a spoiler about like casting. Now, I'm not going to
okay.
get into it, even though probably everyone here knows it. But just in case there's some lucky person who doesn't, that can only happen in a certain time frame.
Mhm.
And so we know there's either a time jump or some kind of weird like flash forward.
Yeah. We'll say I'm like pretty okay with the amount of knowledge I have in terms of stuff.
You
that's
know,
been
I'm
released.
like overly.
I
I'm just
know,
way
you're very
oversensitized
sensitive
about it.
about this stuff. We let Adam see the title of tonight's episode.
I got mad.
Accidentally.
Yeah. I was more than mad. And then 2 minutes into the episode, it was obvious why it was named that, and I was like, "Oh, that's fine. It's not a spoiler."
Like when you reacted, I thought you saw like a scene near the end of the episode.
No,
I didn't realize
I
all you
just
saw was
very-
the title.
I want to enjoy the show knowing nothing.
I agree, but the title is so hard to avoid.
Oh man, I am
Like,
so relieved we did not spoil Lalo's death. I was
Wait,
so
what?
scared. I was so nervous about
Yeah,
spoiling
there were a
that.
few points where I turned to Lon to be like, "Oh, dude, remember? Oh, wait."
Yeah.
Shout out to Lyle. This is from Kenny Black. Thank you for the $2. Can't wait for Better Dial Lyle.
I like
I
that.
love it. I love
That's
it.
good.
Thank you, Kenny Black, for the $2. You're
Lyle
awesome.
ends up. No, never mind. I had a theory that just didn't make a joke theory that doesn't even make sense. So forget it.
All right, we'll start to wind down here. Your boy, thank you for the $2.
Your boy, he's a strong supporter of ours.
Yeah, it's true. And he says, "Dude, tonight was crazy. Much love to everyone.
Right
Much
back
love
at
to you, boy.
Yeah.
And much love to everyone else as well."
Oh, that's nice.
Michael Keith is back. One more for Lyle. Thank you for the $2. Well, you'll be happy to know.
This
I went-
episode is dedicated to. This is a Lyle episode. Forget
100%.
Howard. Forget Lalo.
and I think you'll all be very happy to know. So, like, one way you can get spoilers, you just look at the IMDb, you see the cast list for future episodes.
Yeah.
I checked the next 5 episodes. Lyle's in all of them.
Yes.
And-
And there's no one else.
There's nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's either playing every character, or is this going to be
It's like an
him?
Eddie Murphy situation.
It's like that question of what happened to Huel, because
He was
left
just
him-
sitting in that hotel room, right?
Yeah, they left him in a safe
Or
house,
motel, yeah.
and then Hank died. So did anyone ever go get him back?
Yeah.
Now it's going to be like Gus never comes back. So Lyle's like, I guess this Sporos Hermanos is mine now.
Yeah.
I think we might have missed one super chat here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
This one right here.
In a way, you can twist logic and say that Kim is kind of responsible for Howard's death, and he'll be remembered as a suicidal cokehead. Yeah, it's sad.
It's not even in a way. It's
Yeah,
just
I
like
know.
she just is.
Well, so we talked about this a bunch. You know, it's easy to say.
or actually, I mean, it is in a way because she didn't kill him.
No, yeah,
She had no
kinda-
idea Lala would be there.
I was kind of joking because the joke is that, of course, she's going to blame herself.
Right.
Her actions brought Howard into the room, and that's what got him killed.
At minimum, she was out to destroy his life, just not to literally end it.
Yeah.
But those two aren't all that different. You know?
Well,
There's a big difference on a physical level if you're ending his life, but it must have occurred to her that, you know, someone that Howard maybe would consider suicide after all this.
Well, it's like if you rob somebody, that's a situation where somebody can get killed. And so that's still your responsibility. even if you
Yeah.
didn't mean for it to happen.
Yeah.
This was not so different.
Yeah. So
Right.
it is, I feel very sorry
And
for Howard.
So a couple things I want to add. First off, to be clear, we're throwing Kim's name around a lot. Jimmy, also very responsible.
True.
But the question, of course, mentions Kim specifically, and she was in the driver's seat for a lot of the season.
Yeah.
I kept saying Jimmy's not making a lot of choices. He did make the choice to go along.
Ultimately,
with this.
he is responsible. He is
Yeah.
he is equally responsible in many ways. Yeah.
Mhm. But ultimately, I would say Lalo is responsible.
Yes.
because he
Yeah.
shot him in the head. I think that's what did him in.
Yeah. I think that was probably the cause of death.
We have to wait for the autopsy.
Bullet in the
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, to do the autopsy, and it appears that he was the subject of a prank.
Yeah.
It's the chemical that made him made his heart race.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence. He had a heart attack at the very same moment.
Yeah.
The bullet penetrated his frontal cortex.
Yeah, well, I think Kim and Jimmy, neither of them will be okay after this.
Yeah.
Mac the Knife, thank you for the $5. The 4 that were shot are now part of Los Pollos Hermanos, new taco fiesta platter. Oh, they're turning them into food. That makes sense. Because why waste the resources?
Yeah.
I like where your head's at, Mac.
Efficiency. Gus was like, don't waste them.
Yeah.
That's good meat on their bones.
They are Pollos Hermanos material.
Yeah. Dude.
There we go. Very generous super chat here. I will keep losing it. Here we go. Indie Ghost
Ooh, Mamma Mia.
Studios. Thank you for the $9.99. Those were the two unidentifiable. Those were the two unidentifiable bodies with no dental records after Walt and Jesse burned down Gus's lab. Gomi mentioning the teeth doing a popcorn thing at a certain temperature. No way. I mean, this implies that in Breaking Bad, they went through Gus's lab and they found two bodies.
Wait.
No, that must have been about.
Is that possible?
We checked the dental records. We see.
Are you
Salamanca.
punking us or is this a? We got to go take a look because if this is legit, that'd be really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
We'll look into
I
this.
feel like I would have heard that theory by now. But yeah, please in the chat if you remember something from Breaking Bad that we're forgetting.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Oh, Walt did kill a few guards. That's true. All right, that's probably what it is then. Because even if the place burned down, I don't think it would have affected the concrete underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still, I'm just gonna choose to believe it, given your generous donation.
It's a Tabasco Volta says the same thing. If they buried them deep enough, that wouldn't show up in a fire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And anyway, it wouldn't really make sense because Lalo's body decomposed and then
reincarnated or
as a
turned
fly
into a fly. Yeah,
that's right.
I love that theory.
Yeah. You boys back again. Thank you for the $5. Love to be here. My favorite place to be post stream. Talking Saul.
It's way better. Than
The
Saul.
AMC show. I mean, it's a pretty good show too. They get a lot of good gets. Bob Odenkirk's been on. Peter Gould.
Man, they must have connections.
Hey, we got Pete. How do you say his last name? Bill Oakley.
Yes, Peter Dyseth.
Yes,
That's right.
He did an amazing job.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
That was
if you know what
awesome.
we're talking, we did a trivia night leading up to tonight's episode, and we had a special guest star.
He was
Peter-
co-host, really.
Yeah, that's right. Peter Dyseth. He kind of emceed the evening.
Yeah,
He plays Bill Oakley, and he was in character and did an amazing job.
incredible.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Saulcast memories, I'd say.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Kenny Black asks us to change the name to Lylecast for $2. Thank you, Kenny. We will after Better Call Saul wraps up. And
Once no one's searching for us anymore.
once we start covering Better Dial Lyle.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is the last one here. Maybe hopefully I didn't miss any. Ace Bronx. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian dollars. Why did Lalo care so much about proving that Gus was building a meth lab? Lalo cannot kill Gus without really pissing off Don Eladio. But he can kill Gus if he shows Don Eladio that Gus is building a secret meth empire behind your back and he wants to knock out the cartel and take over.
Mhm.
That's what Hector meant when he said you've got to find proof.
Right.
And your boy meant to say post-episode, and all they have is guest in reference to his previous
Should we
comment.
pretend we didn't understand that? So he has to make another.
Yeah.
super chat?
Can you clarify?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, boy, can you please clarify this for us?
All right, I think we can start to wrap up here.
What a
Dan-
great episode.
Yeah, great episode. I'm very excited. I'm mainly excited that we've closed a big chapter, like 2 chapters simultaneously,
Mhm.
and now we're in the final 5 episodes.
Reactor 333 says, "I'm in the Lyle business,"
Sure.
which is a callback to was it Walt saying, "I'm in the Empire business"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walt's like, what is this about to you, Jesse?
Yeah.
Jesse's like, money, bro.
Yeah.
And Walt's like, no, Empire, bro. If I remember correctly, that was how it was written.
Empire, bro.
bitch.
All right. So thank you, everybody who joined the Instant Take tonight. Thank you, everyone who participated in the trivia night earlier.
Yes.
And if you're bummed you missed it, you can watch the replay, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yes,
It was a lot of fun.
and if you're not sure you're gonna watch the entire pre-show party, you should at least watch the Bill Oakley segments. There's 3 of them, and
I'll
they're so good.
chapter mark them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so they'll be able to skip ahead.
Don't skip it though. The whole show is amazing.
Okay, with that, If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for more. Quick reminder, if you want the full recap and analysis, that'll be later in the week. You'll find it over on our podcast channel. Link in the description.
We'll put it in the chat now.
Yeah, we'll get the link in the chat here.
This is our separate podcast channel because we don't want to clutter the feed with just constant Better Call Saul material. And this is like a long form, like almost sometimes it's like a 2-hour long podcast. So
right. So you'll find all of our longer form discussions over there. Not even always about Better Call Saul, but for the next 6 weeks, mostly it'll be that. And if you prefer to listen to us instead of seeing us, you can look up Saulcast on any podcast app. We'll put a link in the description there as well. And last shout out here is that if you like talking to people, right, Daniel? You can talk to.
That's why I answered silently.
Yes.
You can go to the Discord. We'll put a link in the description where you can talk to other one take people, other Better Call Saul fans, and you basically just have
you talk to us.
Talk to us, yeah, just 24/7.
You don't even have to pay.
That's right.
Like,
yeah,
you
don't have to.
Yeah. Actually, you can't. I mean, you can't through that yet, but you should still go and hang out with us.
Well, the great thing is that when you're out hanging out with your friends, they're going to be like, "How is this person so popular?" You get text messages every 2 seconds, but really, it's a Discord. It's even
you become
more
like part of a group.
Yeah, you're part
Sometimes
of.
Sometimes I have to mute it during work. That's how many people are talking all the time.
So check out the Discord. All right, with that, we got to go eat. It's late.
I'm starving.
We've been podcasting for hours, and thank you all for joining us. This was a lot of fun tonight. So with that, I'm Gil.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Adam.
I'm Alon.
And this is Saulcast. Instant Take.